gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boys Lockdown. It's a post-Christmas weekday episode, special edition of the Lockdown podcast.
How's everybody's Christmas this year? How's your Christmas this guys?
It was dope.
That was pretty good. Relaxing.
Quiet.
That's good.
Yeah.
I eat way too much food.
Good.
Yeah, it's not good.
It was a very filling Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of filling, we have a stacked episode today.
Yeah.
A lot of football to talk about today.
Oh yeah.
Week 17 is upon us this weekend. No Saturday games, Thursday night games, or Monday night games, just all on Sunday. And the college football playoffs are also on Saturday. So we're not going to wait it out anymore. Have a lot to. But before we get into Week 17 or the college football playoffs, we have some breaking news from around the NFL. Announced this morning, today is also Thursday, December 27th, announced this morning, the Miami Dolphins are reportedly prepared to move on from quarterback Ryan Tannehill following the 2018 season, according to Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald. Going a little deeper into it financially, parting ways with Tannehill would provide the Dolphins with significant savings since he is set to make around $19 million in each of the next two seasons. He also has a cap hit of $26.6 million next year. Guys, what is the significance of this Tannehill departure potentially?
It's huge because now they can go out and mortgage their future on another quarterback, which is what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of picks and they have a lot of pieces they can move to get a good draft pick. I think there is a franchise-altering quarterback in this draft. A lot of people don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dwayne Haskins can be that guy. And I'd love to see him go to Miami. But also, you can hold off a year, maybe tank, and get Tua next year. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'd like to do that as a Dolphins fan.
Is Haskins staying or is he actually declaring to the draft?
He's declaring.
He is? Okay.
And I'm drawing a blank right now, but Oregon's quarterback,
Justin Herbert.
He's returning for his senior
year.
Yeah.
So, and he's not even, Matt Miller from Bleacher Report said this morning that he's still not even the number one pick next year either. So the draft class next year is a lot deeper than this year.
Honestly, this year we're just looking at pretty much Dwayne Haskins and Drew Lock. I think those are the only two guys that have really a future.
Right.
I think Will Grier can come out. I'm not exactly sure, but I haven't been too impressed with him this year.
Isn't he like a fifth-year senior or something?
Oh, yeah. He is. You're right.
I think he is coming out.
He transferred,
Yeah. He's really good.
Yeah, he's good, but he struggled this year at times.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be smart for Tannehill to go, but I don't know. I wouldn't be against him staying one more year and then waiting until next year's draft for Miami to get a quarterback. But I think that they should go young. They got to change something there because they're consistently decent or bad.
It is unfortunate because he got interviewed this morning and he said, "I definitely see myself as a Miami Dolphin for the rest of my career." This was after this announcement that they're prepared. They never said they are moving on, but they're prepared to move on. So. Yeah. Not they're playing the Bills tomorrow, so I wouldn't even say or on Sunday, So I wouldn't even say that's an audition game for him, but the Bills defense is not the easiest at times.
Yeah, no.
So especially under
tough.
Look at him last week against the Patriots. Brady, I don't know, he was horrible against them. I don't know how many picks he threw, but
Brady's been horrible the past 6 or 7 weeks. But honestly, Tannehill can stay on the Dolphins. That's fine. If you're prepared to be a backup quarterback, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
To Brock Osweiler?
Okay, no, but
In other news, the Green Bay Packers are a source from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel today or this week on Wednesday reported that the Packers have interviewed former Indianapolis Colts head coach Chuck Pagano for the head coaching vacancy. And earlier in the week, Jim Caldwell was also interviewed by the Packers. And this is the beginning of the Packers head coaching hunt. They've already announced that they're speculating at least another 10 head coaches that they're going to interview from all across the football spectrum. Chuck Pagano and Jim Caldwell, Pagano filled in for Caldwell after he released or did he retire?
I think they fired him.
They fired him.
Yeah.
So he took in the roles, and Pagano has a winning record as the Colts head coach when he was there. Pretty sure, at least. I don't know, to be honest. When I first saw the news, I was kind of like, all right,
yeah.
nothing special. We'll see. I'm glad it's really early on, and this isn't like the 8th or 9th head coach that they've interviewed.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the first thing I think of, I don't know about you guys, I'll let you take over here in a second. The first thing I thought of when I saw this was, are you going to be able to work with Aaron Rodgers?
Right.
And I'm kind of like, no. Like, for both of those, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind for me. You got to get a coach that's going to mesh with Aaron Rodgers because he's your main focal point on that team. So, I mean, they worked well with I think they both worked with Peyton and Andrew Luck. I'm not sure if they
Jim
did.
Caldwell was with Peyton, and then Chuck Pagano came in when they had that garbage season when Peyton got hurt.
Oh, okay. Well,
So then
Pagano worked with Luck. Okay. Well, then they both worked well with the quarterback. So, I don't know. They kind of surprised me that they were interviewing, but they're good coaches. So, I don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah. I like Caldwell more than I like Pagano. I'm not a big fan of Pagano. I know he got that big thing because he beat cancer, but as a coach, if he hadn't have had that big storyline with cancer, what was his? I think Bruce Arians.
Right.
A lot of Colts fans wanted him to take the job instead of going to Arizona, where he ended up going and coaching for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted him to go there, and then obviously that didn't happen. But I don't know.
Now,
I'm not a big Chuck Pagano guy.
Are they better off getting a defensive-minded head coach or an offensive-minded? It's kind of tough.
Man.
Yeah.
I think you have to go with an offensive-minded guy because you have to have a guy who's willing to sit with Aaron, on Saturdays, where you have a trusted defensive coordinator and a trusted offensive coordinator. You have to have a coach that on Fridays and Saturdays can sit down with Aaron, game plan and do all that good stuff. So I think you got to find an offensive guy.
I think so too. Yeah. I don't know if they keep Joe Philbin or not. I kind of think they would, but
I don't know what his relationship is with Aaron. If they have a good relationship, then I don't see
it depends on the head coach too. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens as that continues. I'm sure we'll get many more updates on that as the off season goes on, and with Green Bay's season ending this week, unfortunately. Well, actually fortunately, because I don't want to see
all
this
of our
team in the
teams.
playoffs. All right, so wrapping up the news. This is more sad. I was pretty upset to see this. I'm sure Chris was way more upset than I was. Per Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, Philip Lindsay potentially suffered a scaphoid fracture and ligament damage that could lead to a lengthy recovery depending on the results of additional testing. He's expected to be out for 3 to 4 months once he undergoes the surgery for it, and that also takes him out of the Pro Bowl, which he was such a feel-good story all season that to watch this kid come in and just kind of come out of nowhere and blow it up on the rushing game, which was something that the Broncos needed help with walking into the season kind of unexpectedly. Man, that broke my heart to see that. Luckily it's early in his career, and it is a recoverable injury.
Yeah.
He will come back from it, but still, you got to know that wrecked him when he got the news on this.
Oh, I'm sure. I was so excited to see him and watch him in the Pro Bowl, but I'm sure he's got some more to come if he keeps playing like he did this year. But he's quickly become one of my favorite players to watch. He's just a little dude who thinks he's 6'5", 250 out there. He's such a tough guy. And he's faster than everybody on the field. He just came out of nowhere because when he didn't get drafted at all, and when he was really pissed off from the Broncos for not actually drafting him over a guy in the 7th round who had no rushing yards in his career with Arkansas.
Wow.
And then he called when he got the call from Vance Joseph and John Elway. He was like, "Just be ready when I come in. I'm going to be your starting running back by the end of the season, or by the start of the season." And look where he is now, Pro Bowler, starting running back. It's pretty cool.
Love the confidence, but he wouldn't say that if they actually had a competent running back there beforehand. But
yeah,
love the confidence though. It's great.
Yeah. So
So what are you saying about him?
Nothing.
Okay.
I like the confidence. I was just saying if they had a competent running back because the Denver organization is kind of bad. You know, John Elway, other than getting Peyton Manning and getting really lucky in drafts when he first got there, really has not done a great job with that team.
He had a good draft this past year, but it was the first one in a little bit. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see what he can do in the future, but you just think a guy like John Elway would understand. You don't give a guy like Case Keenum all that money. Yeah, I don't know. It's rough. But.
agreed.
we
Well,
need a new QB
yeah, you do.
and a
really
coach.
badly.
Should have went and got Brock Osweiler, dude.
You lost your chance on him, dude. You had your opportunity.
Had it.
Especially in Brocktober, man. That's
Man, I'd rather have Tannehill over in the with the Broncos than Keenum at this point. So
Can we talk about how Josh Johnson came in for the Redskins and like looked actually kind of good
he looks good.
after not playing for like over 5 years?
and how Mark Sanchez looks like a
He looked awesome.
college quarterback.
Mark Sanchez doesn't even
I don't
care.
know, he's just terrible.
He's just getting paid. He doesn't care.
Yeah,
True.
he's more of a tourist.
I mean, yeah, basically.
That's cool, right? You just go to a bunch of different teams, see the sights, go to all the best restaurants, get paid $1 million a year. That's pretty cool.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So that's it for the news this week. Yeah, let's get a move on it with this. We got a lot to cover here. So we're gonna start with the AFC for our Week 17 extravaganza. So here's what we know: the Chiefs and the Chargers clinched a playoff berth. The Patriots have the AFC East. The Texans also clinched a playoff berth. Besides the East, none of the other divisions have been won. Walking into Week 17, if Baltimore beats Cleveland, which is a very interesting 1 o'clock matchup, probably the only really interesting 1 o'clock matchup, if Baltimore beats Cleveland, they eliminate Pittsburgh from the playoffs. The interesting thing about this, and I'll hand it off to you guys here, the very interesting thing about this Cleveland-Baltimore matchup is if it were any other year, it'd be like, all right, this is an obvious Baltimore win, right? But we're talking about Baker Mayfield right now.
Oh, yeah.
Baker Mayfield could single-handedly eliminate his rival in the Baltimore Ravens from playoff contention.
All right, come on now.
And listen. When we're looking at the grand scheme of things, Baltimore's going to win this game. It's obvious. Their defense is way too good against Cleveland. But I have a really hard time doubting Baker Mayfield because he could listen. There's a lot like they already have a lot of momentum going into next season. Like if they brought in who's their head coach? Greg Williams, right?
Right. Yeah.
If they brought in Greg Williams early, if he took the head coaching role earlier on, they could probably be in contention to win the AFC North right now. They'd be in the title hunt.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like logistically, this is going to be the Ravens' game to lose, and Pittsburgh is out of the playoffs. But I don't know. Like, what do you guys think about this matchup?
So, okay, I agree with everything you just said, but let's stop saying Baker Mayfield can do it on his own.
Oh,
Dude's averaging over 2 turnovers a game.
Okay.
He's not doing it on his own. The defense is playing great. Nick Chubb is blowing it up as a rookie. He's only played in 11 games, and he's already broken every Browns rookie rushing record. Like, in 11 games, Jarvis Landry threw a 65-yard touchdown pass last week.
That was awesome.
That's so dope.
Like, the team is playing great football. It's not just Baker Mayfield. He's playing great for a rookie. I definitely think he should win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Lamar, I think, are up there because Lamar's really been playing great too. But I don't know. The Browns team is playing great. I think they can win the game. But the big thing about the Ravens, though, is that teams don't really understand how to play them now that Lamar Jackson's throwing the football. Because against the Chargers, he made a couple great passes, including a throw in the end zone, which kind of blew the game open. But I don't know. This Ravens team is good. I still think the Ravens are going to win. I'm taking them in the game. Dude, the Ravens.
They got an old school style now, and it's hard to stop.
Dude, I think the Ravens may be able to win the Super Bowl. Like, they're that good.
Yeah. They have the best defense in the league right now.
Yeah.
And a run game that you pretty much can't stop. It's like they don't even have that great a running back. Like, was it Gus Edwards? I guess that's their starter.
He's been kidding.
But they're
Big Gus,
still
bro.
really good. they're still killing it. And Lamar Jackson gets like what 80 or 90 rushing yards a game for a quarterback. It's insane. It's like the next Michael Vick, but maybe better.
I love what they're doing with the Baltimore defense was already really good, but ever since Lamar came in, it's like it changed. It's like when Nick Foles came in, like for the Eagles, everything just changed. They're like, all right, now let's go, let's do this.
Spark, yeah.
Yeah, it's so dope. Let's see.
So we think the Ravens will clinch the AFC North on Sunday.
Yeah. It's almost inevitable.
I think Pittsburgh will still win against Cincinnati, but they'll still get knocked out. Can't believe it. They were 2-1.
Yeah,
now they're out.
It's amazing. It's any given Sunday. You know, you never know what's going to happen with this. I love it. That's why I love the NFL so much.
Real quick before we move on. Mike Tomlin's status. We're all assuming the Steelers aren't going to make the playoffs. Do you think the Steelers make any big changes to try to like salvage the end of Ben's career? Or do you think they're just going to pretty much ride out the wave until Ben retires? What do you guys think?
I would think that they'd ride out the wave till he retires. I don't know. I think Mike Tomlin's still a good coach.
I do too.
Yeah, I think he's one of the better ones in the league. So, and Big Ben probably has what 2 or 3 years left in him.
Yeah, I think so.
Not.
Yeah, probably 2. Yeah. I think it's more of an issue of, if you're looking at it to answer with a question, it's do we have a Mike Tomlin issue or a Ben Roethlisberger issue? Or in the way that the way that I feel like they're game planning, it's the same way they game planned 5 or 6 years ago. And he's just gotten older and he can't move around the same way he used to. But if you kind of give Ben Roethlisberger, if you give him put the ball in his hands and say, just go do what you want to do, he tore up New Orleans secondary last week. Yeah, he did. Like they dropped the run game because it wasn't working, and I feel like Ben was just like, let's just see what happens, and he absolutely tore up an already flawed New Orleans secondary, which I think we'll talk about it later. I think it's really going to hurt them later in the playoffs.
They need help on their defense more than anything.
They're right there with the Chiefs.
I'm not worried about their offense. Their defense.
The Saints' run defense is still pretty good. I mean, they can stop the run, but the problem is once you get into that shootout mentality, they can't stop anybody. When you're just throwing and passing, they can't stop anybody.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the Steelers will be fine. The next year will be another we'll see what happens type of year for them. So moving on, let's talk about that. We just kind of talked about it for a second. Let's talk about the Chiefs really quick. They play. Who do they play this week?
They play the Raiders.
The Raiders.
They're gonna have to lose to the Raiders, dude.
Dude, listen.
Yeah, no, it's bad, dude.
They have one of the worst secondaries in football. It's so bad. And they have the most penalties in the entire league.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is what I noticed about the Chiefs. Who was the team they played last week? The Chiefs.
The Seahawks.
And they lost to Seattle. This is what I noticed about. And this, I think this is more so talking about a combination of Russell Wilson's game managing and just how bad the Chiefs look as a whole right now. Also, offensively, if you give Mahomes the ball, he's going to produce. Like, in some way, shape, or form, he's going to get the ball down the field, whether it looks like a field goal or a touchdown. He's going to produce because he's just that good. What Pete Carroll did on Sunday was they played keep away with the offense. And as long as you keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, you're going to be fine. And you just run. They ran, I think it was 210 yards on Kansas City's defense. Teams all season, the Patriots did it. Other teams have done it. They passed all over their secondary, all over. It tore them up. This is going to be an issue. They should be fine against Oakland. I think they'll be fine. This is going to be an issue in the playoffs where you get some. This is an issue that I didn't want to come to grips with until recently because I thought Mahomes is the guy. He's going to win MVP. He's going to lead him probably a Super Bowl run. I don't know. I'm not so confident in that anymore, just because of their defense. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, well, the reason why nobody thought about it is because they kept winning games.
Yeah.
So up until recently, they had one loss, and that loss was in Gillette to the Patriots. Mm-hmm. So nobody was really worried about them. What's their record now? They've lost 3 games?
They're 11-4.
Yeah, they lost 3 games in their past 5. I think I saw.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm real worried about this Chiefs team. And like I said about Andy Reid a couple weeks ago, man, this is what happens. They'll blow you out of the park offensively, but defense on special teams and coaching, they lose all of those aspects of the game, and you get to the playoffs, and those are the most important aspects of the game. And that's why they ended up losing. And that's what's going to happen this year again. Probably to the Pats again, because even though the Pats are worse this year, they can still beat the Chiefs.
Yeah,
like this Chiefs team isn't very good except for Patrick Mahomes and that offense.
Right. You got to be good in all three phases to make a run for the Super Bowl, and they just don't have a defense. Special teams is good. Their offense is good. And they're missing one.
It's unfortunate. So we'll see what happens. Again, they should theoretically be fine against Oakland. If where are they, number 1 or 2 in the AFC right now?
Kansas City's number 1.
Okay, and the
Chargers
Patriots are
5.
10-5 or 11-4.
10-5.
Okay, so they'd have the tiebreaker if they lose. Actually, so let's do this.
Well,
so New England. Let's talk about the Patriots for a second. So New England, they play the Jets this week.
Right.
So they win that game.
A win, and a loss to Kansas City and a win for New England to put New England as the number 1 seed and home field advantage. Pretty much the Patriots control their destiny right now as far as getting home field, which weeks and weeks we were convinced, maybe not us as a whole, but just in the football cognoscenti as a general, were convinced this is the year the Patriots finally have to play a wild card game. And this might be it. This is finally the year we don't see the Pats in the Super Bowl. It's probably going to be the same time we're going to see them in the Super Bowl again.
I hope not.
Well, the Texans blew it, man. The Texans had it. The Texans were in control of their own destiny. And they went and they lost last week.
The Dolphins even helped them out with the Miami Miracle. And then
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Texans got a lot of help this year. And I don't know whether it was Deshaun. Yeah. I mean, that secondary got destroyed last week. But
yeah, New England, they get a first-round bye with just a win, and then they can get home field with a win. And if the Chiefs and the Chargers lose, which that's not going to happen,
right? Yeah,
but yeah, they're getting the first-round bye.
So with the Patriots, the few things that I've noticed, Gronk is no longer the mismatch that he used to be, which does hurt their offense, and the loss of Josh Gordon, which
that's big.
So that does hurt their offense a lot. Tom Brady, as Matt mentioned earlier, has been playing poorly this year, to his standards at least.
Yeah,
has been. Last week he completed just over half of his passes and threw a pair of interceptions. Do you like? It's so hard to talk crap about the Patriots and start to talk about their downfall because they always find a way to come back, and I don't think we can ever say, oh, even with some of the rough edges that haven't been scrubbed down, even this late in the season, which normally in December they have those rough edges and they scrub it down, like against teams like the Jets and the Bills and the Dolphins in December, but right now they're looking kind of rough. Do you think this is just another extreme we're going to see from the Patriots, but they'll find a way to work it out in the playoffs, or could their rough edges be something to talk about against teams like the Chiefs offense, or a team like Indianapolis possibly that could potentially make a run with their never say die mentality? Like, what are your thoughts on New England in the postseason?
I mean, look, New England's something to talk about because Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick are ruining Tom Brady's last couple years in the league.
Yeah,
they have no talent around this guy. Mm-hmm. He's still playing at a pretty good level. Like, he's not where he was when he beat when they were losing to the Falcons 28-3 in the Super Bowl and he let them back. He's not at that level anymore. But he's still an elite quarterback. He's still, in the top bracket of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
And the fact that his best target is people have been kind of like insulting Gronk a little bit this year. He's still a good target. You know what I mean? He's still like a top 10 tight end in the NFL. Let's not get it twisted here. But I mean, other than that, he has Gronk and Edelman, who aren't bad, but are good pieces. And that's it.
I got a bunch of white guys.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
I mean, they have Sony Michel, who's a decent running back, but he's still a rookie. But I mean, I don't know. They're really hurting. I mean, and Bill Belichick tried to move. He wanted to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. Tom Brady and Robert Kraft were like, you got to get rid of Jimmy G. And I don't think Bill Belichick has I don't think Bill Belichick has gone out of his way to make Tom's job harder, but he sure hasn't made it easier.
Mm-hmm.
Know that for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll go ahead.
During the playoffs, it's like, I mean, Belichick always finds a way to game plan around whatever's happening. You know, like if Gronk's not getting open, then we'll game plan get somebody else open or just make him a decoy or something like that. My hope is they don't go far in the playoffs, but it could be one of those years again. So
well, the problem this year is that look, they tried to do that, and they've done a bunch of trick plays in big games because that's all they can do is trick plays. Because if they double cover Gronk, Julian Edelman can't get he's not as quick as he has been in the past, and he has a hard time getting open nowadays. So you double Gronk, you put your number one corner on Julian Edelman, and all of a sudden now Tom has nobody to throw the ball to.
yeah.
So they've been running a lot of trick plays. Josh McDaniels, man, if they had an offensive coordinator of the year, that man should win that.
Mm-hmm.
That team has no talent, and he has consistently been basically getting them to win games against pretty good defenses. He's had a fantastic year. But
yeah,
they make a lot of those mediocre players look a lot better than they actually are.
Yeah.
Consistently.
So let's see. So moving on to another playoff clinching team. What are your guys' thoughts on the Chargers that are sitting at the number 5 seed right now? They play the Broncos at 4 on Sunday. I believe, 4. So are they locked in as a number? Yeah, they clinch a spot.
Yeah.
They're locked in at number 5, right?
No, not necessarily.
They could win that division.
They have the same record as the Chiefs. They're both 11-4.
Okay.
So the Chargers can clinch the AFC West and home field advantage throughout the playoffs with a win and a Kansas City loss.
They need that.
Bad.
They need the bye, and they need because Keenan Allen has got to get healthy, and they need the home field advantage.
If Kansas City blows it against the Raiders and the Chargers beat the Broncos, then
come on, John Gruden, let's do it,
Chucky.
Hey man, the Raiders have been looking better lately. That's all I'm about to say about that.
They're getting their crap together. Yeah,
getting their crap together, man. John's getting them together.
There's also news that the city of Oakland sued the Raiders, and now next year they have no home.
Oh, right. Yeah, because they played their last game in the Raider Stadium.
Right. So I would wonder where they're going to play. I've heard that maybe the San Francisco Giants Stadium is a possibility. Zach mentioned San Diego Padres, I believe, their stadium. I'd wonder where they'll play, but
poor
interesting
franchise.
to keep an eye on. Yeah,
that's a poor franchise.
The Chargers, they kind of do this thing where they always try to come from behind.
I think they like it. They like being behind in the second half.
It makes fun games in the regular season. You don't want to do that in the postseason. That's not because, like we saw against the Ravens, you make one bad play and the game's over.
The one thing about them, though, that I like better than the Chiefs is they actually have 3 phases. They have good offense, a really good defense, and a good special teams. I think that would make them go further in the playoffs than the Chiefs, which they could end up meeting in the playoffs.
It's true.
So
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
A big division rival game in the playoffs.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty great.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of division rival in the playoffs, Sunday Night Football is going to be dope this week.
Ooh.
We got a win or go home game between the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. So here's the thing about this game. As far as this morning on Thursday, December 27th, Marcus Mariota, he got a stinger on their game against Washington. I believe it's his right side. I can't remember, left or right side. It's completely numb. He doesn't feel anything on the side of his body. Blaine Gabbert looks like he's going to get the start. Just against an Indianapolis team, as I mentioned before, that has this never say die mentality. They were down behind the Giants last week, and they just didn't give up. But that's also similar to the Chargers, where they also carry that mentality until it doesn't work. Where in the playoffs, this is where, if logistics do play a role in NFL playoffs. And I don't know about this Indianapolis team. I do believe they can beat Tennessee. As much as Derrick Henry has been a threat on offense, when Mariota's out, it takes away the dual threat, mentality of this offense.
Right.
I don't know about Blaine Gabbert, bro. I don't know if he has the capability of carrying an offense. He's been okay. Like, he hasn't been terrible in his games that he's played, but I see Indianapolis pulling this one way. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
Look, man, Blaine Gabbert. What a way for him to try to save his career, right? To bring this team into the playoffs, to beat the Colts and win, to actually potentially win the division, because they can still win the division if the Texans lose. If Blaine Gabbert wins, do I think the Colts win? Yes. But I called weeks ago the Titans are winning this division, and I'm not letting that go. Marcus Mariota will play. They will inject him with all sorts of steroids. They'll inject him with all sorts of stuff in his shit. He'll be good to go, and they will win, and they will beat the Colts, and the Titans will get into the playoffs.
Oh,
there's actually a scenario that Tennessee can actually get a first-round bye.
It's not going to happen.
If Tennessee wins, Houston loses, New England loses, and Baltimore loses, or they tie, then Tennessee will clinch the AFC South and a first-round bye. That'd be crazy.
Any scenario that requires a team to that has an and tie.
Yeah,
never happens.
But it's a scenario. But they'll clinch the AFC South with Tennessee win and a Houston loss.
Yeah.
So that's crazy that Houston might lose the division. They had it easy earlier in the year.
They've blown it, dude. The combination of their secondary and their offensive line just giving Deshaun Watson literally no time to do anything that he could do.
And they just lost Demarius for the year.
They did, yeah.
Oh, they did.
Right.
Well, I feel so bad for the Texans, man. I really do. It's crashing on them. So to wrap up the AFC, who is your guys'? Is that even a word? Who are your picks as the dark horse going into the playoffs?
Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens. I totally.
Yeah.
I agree too.
That defense wins championships, baby. That's the mentality, and I love it. It's old school style football.
To me, I think they can go as far as the AFC Championship. I think they could go to the Super Bowl, but I don't think they can go into the Super Bowl.
I think they can beat the Patriots easy. That defense is nasty. I don't think the Pats offense could get much of anything. Tom Brady will make some plays, obviously, in the fourth quarter, but scheming, matching up the pieces of the teams, the Patriots don't have anything. They can't beat the Ravens, dude.
Most likely what's going to happen, the Ravens will probably host either the Chiefs or the Chargers, whoever ends up not winning the AFC West.
Yeah.
Which I think they could beat both of them. They already proved they could beat the Chargers, and they almost beat the Chiefs on the road. And then that means they may go into Gillette Stadium and play the Patriots. That would be fun.
That would be.
Yeah, I think they could go in there and beat them.
I'm all for it. Go Ravens.
I'm so excited this year for the playoffs because it's just so unpredictable.
It's gonna be wild. I'm stoked.
Throughout the entire NFL, there's not one team that you can pick that's way better than everybody else. I mean, the Saints, they have home field. They have a better advantage, but even so, it's they don't have a great defense, and it's there's not one team that stands out. It's awesome. Hasn't been like that in a while.
On that note, that was good AFC talk. Let's move on to the NFC and pick up where Chris just left off. Let's start with the Saints. They barely got by a flawed Steelers team last week. They clinched the home field advantage, so the NFC runs through New Orleans as long as they're playing. Man, I don't know. The Saints, man. This is a team that I'm concerned about. I really am. They just I don't know. They've been so inconsistent overall. Going to the first half, they were dominant, and I can't put my finger on it. I can't put my finger. Oh, Matt, That's the Dallas Cowboys jersey. For you listeners who
Man.
aren't watching, Matt just pulled out a Dak Prescott.
The boys,
Boys,
dude.
they're making a run. The boys are
Ooh,
making a
baby.
run.
Come on.
Matt's got his dark horse pick early. It's Dallas Cowboys.
Come on. They're taking it all the way. Come on, baby.
Something wrong with you, Matt.
So, Matt, I'm actually curious about your opinion. We're going to get to Dallas in a second. I got some thoughts on Dallas, but yeah, the Saints have just looked inconsistent throughout the game. Like they can't play the same way from quarter 1 to quarter 4. I don't know who to put the finger on here. I don't know who to blame, if there is anybody to blame, because like we said earlier, Pittsburgh just lit them up in the second half, and it took them a while to adjust. What are both of your guys' thoughts? What are your thoughts on the Saints going into the playoffs with home field advantage in mind?
I think the Saints are good, man.
Yeah.
I think only one team in the NFC that can beat the Saints.
Who's that? Oh, I bet you're
They
gonna say
already
something.
did, baby. They did it once and they can do it again.
Oh man.
Home field for the Saints. It's like they have one of the better home fields in the NFL. Like with Drew Brees in the dome, they're almost unbeatable.
Yeah.
But I kind of disagree with Matt with the team. I think could go in there and beat them. I think Chicago could go in there and beat them. Sure. Like that, they have an amazing defense. I just have that feeling. I don't know. You ever get that gut feeling that someone's gonna go in there and beat them? I don't know. That's just they have a dynamic run game, pass game, and a really good defense. I don't know. I just see them going in there and beating them if that happens.
Yeah.
What do you think, Zach? Anybody that can go in there and beat them?
The Bears are interesting. They're very similar to the Ravens for me, where arguably I think they have the best defense in the league. They're just consistently dominant, and they struggled against San Francisco last week, but that's also a very pesky team with a coach that is super underrated. Like I am a big Kyle Shanahan fan, and he, even with a roster that isn't that deep, with injuries that clouded his team between Jerick McKinnon and Jimmy Garoppolo, he still finds way to be a very pesky team against other teams. They did it against the Seahawks. Yeah. They did it against last week against Chicago.
He's been really unlucky.
Unfortunately. So I've heard a lot of people talking crap about that game, and I'm just like, you let's not judge the Bears by that game, because not only that, but they clinched the North before in week 15. So they walked into week 16 and this week against week 17 saying, I mean, let's not put all our chariots in the race right now. I don't blame them for that. What's interesting though is this week they play Minnesota. They beat Minnesota, and if Philly wins, they knock out the Vikings from the playoffs. But then they're not going to allow the Vikings to win like that, especially against in a rival game. If Philly loses against, who are they playing this week?
They play Washington on the road.
They're not losing.
Okay. If Philly were to lose, so basically, if Philly were to lose and Minnesota were to lose, Minnesota still gets a 6 seed.
Yeah.
So that's this is we'll move on to Philly next, but so it's minutes between Minnesota and Chicago. It's interesting. So I'm not going to count out Chicago because of a Week 16 performance. I think they're going to do great against Minnesota this week. Another thing about Minnesota is Kirk Cousins, when all eyes are on him, he just doesn't produce, and it's really unfortunate because I love Kirk Cousins, but this could be a bad week for him. This could be the week that knocks him out of the playoffs, which is almost inevitable. Part of me almost needs this to happen for Minnesota's sake, so they can look at all their issues that they have. They have a lot of issues on their team.
There's a slight chance that Minnesota and Chicago play each other 2 times in a row.
Yeah, and 3 times in a season. That'd be wild, and a big plus for Chicago, who just keeps dominating them. So we'll see what happens. Philly, man, we'll talk about Philly and then Dallas next. So Philly. This is interesting because they're on a tear right now.
Nick Foles, man.
I'm
trying to tell you guys. I'm trying to tell y'all. Nick Foles is the secret. He's the magic for this team to work.
Do you think so? Let's say they go into Washington and they win, which is probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Minnesota takes the loss. They go in as a 6th seed against Chicago in the playoffs.
Ooh.
Wins and losses aside, if Nick Foles has a great game and they just get beat out by a better team or they beat the better team, do you think it's time for Doug Peterson to change up the way that football is played? Where in baseball, you have your starting pitcher and you have your closer. This is just an idea I've been thinking about. Could Nick Foles be your closer in a football game? Could he be the guy you bring in later in the season when crunch time is in, or maybe later in a game? Carson Wentz starts it, Foles finishes it. Is that a possibility here, or should Foles just get the starting role?
I think you're looking at this the wrong way. Completely.
Yeah.
The way this is built, it's built more proficiently for somebody like Nick Foles, who likes to spread the ball around. He likes to throw high to guys like Alshon Jeffrey and Nelson Aguilar. He doesn't really zone in on any one guy. He may do that with like his number one target, but he definitely won't do it to like a tight end, which shrinks the field. So that means you can't run the football.
Sure.
When you're going over the top, the defenses have to respect you, which means you can run the football. The problem with Carson is all he did was just spam Zach Ertz every single play. So the field would just be shrunk anyways. So you tried to run the ball, and the linebackers already be up because they're trying to, jam Zach Ertz at the line, so you wouldn't be able to run the football. So, listen, Carson is a better player, but I think he has a really big issue, and it's something that Cam has struggled with too, which is that when you kind of don't see anybody open at first glance, you just kind of throw it immediately to the tight end.
So is it a Carson Wentz issue, or is it a scheming issue, or a little bit of both?
It's a little both.
I think it's both.
Yeah, it's a little both.
Yeah.
I think Carson's a better player overall, but I think he has one big issue that kind of does hurt the team.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So you think Philly can make a run if they get into the playoffs against Chicago?
Yeah, dude, they look good, man. Like, the team looks good.
And it's funny because like you listen to the analysts, you listen to the all these people, and whenever Philly gets brought up, everyone's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I think it's inevitable that they make the playoffs. Like,
yeah,
I just don't see the way it's going.
Destiny is on their side. This has to happen. Like, the defending champs have to get in. This doesn't make any sense if they don't without Nick Foles or with Nick Foles.
I swear, if they get in the playoffs and they beat Dallas, I'm gonna kill myself.
Matt, go ahead and tell us why your Cowboys are the dark horses going into the playoffs.
All right, here we go. So we got Dallas Cowboys, right? They got the best young rookie, not rookie, but they got the best young linebackers in the game. They got great corners. They got a great defensive line. They can stop anybody. They held Drew Brees to 10 points. Come on now. Next, we got my boy Dak Prescott. Doesn't always show up big time in the stats, but he's an incredible leader. He leads these guys every day. He's a tough guy. He makes big plays. And we got Zeke, who's over here leading the NFL in rushing yards. We got that offensive line that's starting to play good. And then we got the best wide receiver in football, Amari Cooper.
Yep.
Killing it. I exaggerate best receiver in football, but he is the best route in football.
Easily. Yeah.
Dude, he is the sweetest runner out of his breaks, man. He looks good when he's running those routes. And you know what? Maybe they won't go all the way, but they won this division, and everybody said they wouldn't win the division. They were 3-5. Everybody doubted this team, and I'm not doubting my team either. I ain't doubting them at all.
I'm just saying, I'll pull it up. I'll post it on our Facebook page. Joey Barry, I'm calling you out. You said I was wrong. I picked Dallas to win this division in the preseason. I just want all you haters to know that I'm right. But I also picked the Texans to go to the Super Bowl. So that's another one of my flaws, which is still a possibility. It's any given Sunday. But I picked Dallas to win this division, so suck on it. All right. Anyway,
Rest of the day.
Moving on from my soapbox. Yeah, no, I'm on Matt's side. Listen, I think Dallas, their defense, when Dak has struggled, their defense saved them. Van Der Esch, dude, you get him an open. If you're a running back, Todd Gurley would suffer for this. Any big running back would suffer for that. Zeke Elliott in practice, I'm sure, suffers from this. If you get Van Der Esch in open field, you're losing that battle every single time. You're going to lose that battle. He's so good. I watched. I think it was the NFL's Twitter account posted a video on Twitter this week, like it's just like a 5-minute video of all of his tackles that in this last week. It was like a 4-minute video And every single big open field play he had, it was a tackle every single time for at least under 5 yards or a loss of yards. The guy is unstoppable. He's not talked about enough. Nobody's talking about this defense, and they're so dominant. The secondary came up out of nowhere when I saw this happening, but everyone doubted it. Everyone doubted me and Matt, and this defense was coming, and no one believed us, and now it's happening. So, Seattle's most likely going to be the 5 seed, right? Most likely,
Right? Yeah,
Dallas and Seattle. Ooh,
that's gonna be a fun one.
that's going to be really fun.
Both teams are hot
In Dallas, in Jerry's
which
house.
is the big thing.
Yeah.
Seattle on the road this year is objectively a bad football team.
Yeah, they are.
They go to San Francisco and get outplayed by the Niners. You know what I mean? They're that type of team.
Yeah.
And they've consistently done that all year on the road. So
it'll be different in playoff time, but that's gonna be a fun one. But 2 evenly matched teams, that'll be fun.
It'll be close. Every single Cowboys game ends up being close, like because that's just the way they play. That's just the way they play. So it'll be a close game. We'll see.
Chris, any thoughts on Dallas?
I know you guys like them a lot. It's just one of those
I knew he
teams.
was going to say this.
I don't see them going far. I don't know. It's the Cowboys. I mean, come on.
Exactly. It's the Cowboys. Can't count the boys out.
I think they could lose in the wild card round, but they have impressed me this year. They have very underrated defense. But if Zeke goes off and Amari Cooper goes off, I could see him going pretty far. But
yeah,
let's
see. So moving on to let's talk about the Seahawks for a minute. This is a team. Yeah. Their run game. They're averaging 158 yards on the ground a game, first in the league. Total of 2,378 yards in the season. We mentioned this earlier. Something I noticed against Kansas City. It's not really saying a lot because Kansas City has a terrible defense. But when Russell Wilson plays field general, the offense succeeds. When he's forced to make big plays, when he's forced to just like big plays in general on the throw, when the pocket crashes. This is where you start to see the offense crumble. It's so, man, against a defense like Dallas. Who does Seattle play this week? They play
the Cardinals, I think.
Okay, so that's the worst team in the league. It'll be an easy win. They're gonna run all over them. So it's a good tune-up.
Remember when the Cardinals beat the Packers?
Yeah, they play the Cardinals at home.
Listen, we're not talking about the Packers this episode. This is a playoff conversation.
We're in the NFC.
We're not talking about the Packers. I'm really upset about that actually. So I'm hurt. The Cardinals are the second worst team in the league behind the Green Bay Packers, in front of the Green Bay Packers. So that'll be a good tune-up game for Dallas, who they're most likely going to be playing. Against a defense like Dallas, man, I'm worried for Seattle because they're coming into the playoffs with a lot of push. They got a lot of hope, a lot of momentum. But like Matt said, when they're on the road, when they're against teams that are just all around really good, this is where you start to see them struggle. This is where they put all their chips on Russell, and when he doesn't produce, they crumble. So what are your thoughts?
Start with Chris here, because I pretty much agree with everything you just said. I mean, that's my opinion with the Seahawks. I don't like them on the road. I think at the home, when they can control the tempo of the game, they got the fans on their side. I think they're great. On the road, when the defense is big, you get no yards on first down. Russell throws a bad pass on second down. I don't think this team is built to win on the road. Mm-hmm. But
they're a different team in the playoffs too. Russell Wilson in the playoffs has proven that he's one of the better quarterbacks there. So they're really hard to predict. You just never know with them. They seem to be like one of those inconsistent teams that, I mean, they're more consistently good than they are bad. But I can see them doing well on the road. But if you put them at home, they're almost unbeatable. Mm-hmm. With that 12th man there.
I mean, the big thing about them this year has been, they have a good defense, but they don't have statistically and just with the eye test, they don't have the same type of defense that they used to with the Legion of Boom.
Right.
It's good, but it's not there. So that's why they need, they think they gave Russell Wilson like a max deal. They gave him a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And this is where Russell Wilson has to produce. because they frankly don't have the talent on the defensive side of the ball to beat people that way anymore.
Yeah.
So
They hardly have anybody on offense either.
yeah,
And he just makes them good. Like, who do they have at running back? Rashad Penny hasn't shown up. He's a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Chris he's not bad. He's pretty
He's
good.
been great.
he's been playing pretty
But
well.
they have Doug Baldwin at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Nobody at
Doug
tight end.
Baldwin,
That's it.
consistent.
Doug Baldwin is always and Tyler Lockett's he's pretty good too. But
Yeah,
other than that, they got those guys and
No depth. Yeah.
Yeah.
no offensive line.
So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with Seattle. Well, let's wrap up NFL talk in our dark. Well, Matt already very loudly told us his dark pick. But and I did too. But let's end with the Rams, and then we're going to move on to the big 3 college football games we want to talk about this weekend. The Rams. Oof. Listen, Jared Goff has been struggling recently. He really has. He's shown a lack of confidence in the pocket. I don't know if that's the judge for the line, which hasn't been the worst. It's been okay, but he just hasn't been making his targets. He hasn't been hitting them.
Yeah.
When Todd Gurley is not producing, the offense isn't producing because Goff. I'm not even going to say he's not being the leader because I don't think he ever was the leader, frankly.
Right.
I think Sean McVay is the leader of the offense, and that's how they've done it all year, the last couple of years. Do you think the Rams are in jeopardy of getting up?
I think they'll lose early. I have a feeling that they might lose in the divisional round.
Okay.
Yeah, same. This team, the defense should be great. They basically try to do something that the Broncos did back in 2015.
Okay.
Right.
Where you basically have a team that's focused around like your offense, but you just bring in such amazing defensive talent.
Yeah.
And then I think they have Wade Phillips too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
So it's the same type of scheme where like they were just like Wade Phillips and the talent of the defense is going to basically make a great defense.
Mm-hmm.
How's it worked?
They're amazing on paper.
Yeah.
On paper, they have talent all over the board.
Yeah. I don't know why
they're not playing up to it. Yeah, I don't know.
I
guess they're just not meshing together. They don't have. I don't know. They can't play up to the same scheme.
Guys playing for themselves, I guess. And that's what it comes down to.
I mean, you got Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters and
Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
Ndamukong Suh trying to get sacks. Dante Fowler not setting the edge, trying to get sacks running around.
Yeah.
You have guys aren't playing as a team, and their defense is struggling for it. And then this is another issue I had with the Rams too all year, is they have Todd Gurley, but they put too much of a focus, I think, on Goff because Sean McVay. It's pretty. You know what I mean? You want your quarterback to throw for 40 plus touchdowns and all the yards. That's what you want as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator. Yeah. So I think even when Todd Gurley was on and they were running the ball really well, they would still just like force Jared Goff and they would force the issue. And for the most of the season, the beginning of the season, it worked. Now it's not working. And you got to find ways to incorporate Todd Gurley in what you're doing because they'll go drives where they give Todd Gurley the ball once and that's it. And then they'll get one first down, and then Todd Gurley will get the ball one time, and then Jared Goff will throw like 3 incompletions in a row, and they'll punt. Yeah. And it's like, what? Why?
Right now, it's like losing Cooper Kupp is looking like a really big blow to them right now.
Yeah. Bad.
He was a really good slot receiver, and now they have Brandon Cooks, and that's about it. And Robert Woods, I forgot.
Yeah, Robert Woods.
They have those two guys. What's that?
They have Jared Cook, don't they?
No, he plays for the Raiders.
Oh, that's right. Gotcha.
I think they have Gerald Everett. That's their tight end. He's not bad, but
yeah, he's not. Yeah.
I don't know. But Cooper Kupp was one of Jared Goff's favorite targets, and then they lost him.
It's hurt them, man.
I mean, they got to get this first round bye. The Rams do. Get Gurley healthy.
Yeah.
Get him. I mean, C.J. Anderson looked pretty good last week. For the Rams.
Yeah, he looked great.
I don't.
What are your thoughts, Matt?
The backup.
Why did the Panthers cut CJ? And I don't
know why the Broncos cut him either. So
he got cut twice in a row. The dude can ball.
Yeah, I know. He got cut by the Broncos, then the Raiders, then the Panthers, then the Raiders, and now he's the Rams.
I don't get it.
It's unfortunate.
Wade Phillips probably told him to sign him.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Chris, who's your dark horse in the NFC?
The NFC. If the Eagles make it, I think. I mean, it's Nick Foles. I mean, come on.
Hey, Nick, man.
It's just like last year. It's the same thing. He comes in for Carson Wentz at the end of the year and takes them to the Super Bowl. Why can't it happen again?
Yep.
I don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, but I think they could go to at least the NFC Championship.
Mm-hmm. I'm with Dallas.
I'd be rooting for them. I'd like to see that happen.
All right, in 15 to 30 seconds, starting with Matt, what's your dream Super Bowl matchup? Go.
Cowboys versus Chargers.
Oh, that'd be a good one. Chris?
Ooh. Saints Ravens.
I'm going to say Bear Ravens. I want a defensive-led Super Bowl.
Great offense against great defense. I want to see it.
I mean, I want Phillip to get. I want Rivers to get a championship.
I do too, dude. I'm
No.
hurting for him. I'm hurting for Phillip. He got kids, dog. He's got kids to pay for. Come on.
Like 7 kids or whatever.
8 kids.
8 kids.
That's another one. We got 8 kids, dog. Give him his ring. He needs his ring. All right. that was good NFL talk. Let's wrap up the show with some college football talk.
Yeah.
We've waited a long time. It's been like 3-4 weeks, but the playoffs are finally here.
Yep.
Let's start with Clemson Notre Dame. It's Saturday at 4, 4:30, something like that.
4 o'clock. Yep.
What are your thoughts on this game? Who do you think's pulling away with the win? We know who's going to pull away with the win, but who do you think's pulling away with the win? Why? Thoughts, Matt? Open it up.
I refuse to believe in Notre Dame. Absolutely refuse.
Why is that?
Every single time in my entire life, I believed in Notre Dame. They've let me down. So you
Yeah.
know what? I'm not doing it again. Clemson dominates, pull away in the fourth quarter. They win by like 2 or 3 scores.
I think they win very handily. Clemson does.
Yeah.
I think it could be over 20 points that they win by, even 30. They're going to blow them out of the water.
Dang. Yeah.
It's going to be
Maybe.
something like 40-10 or something.
Almost kind of like another team should have been in that position.
There's the team.
Maybe like a team in Florida that's undefeated.
Those Knights, baby.
Going with the Knights here. They play LSU. And what bowl are they playing?
Peach Bowl, I believe, right?
Here, it's the Fiesta Bowl. They play in the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Day versus LSU.
Yeah.
Who wins that game?
Man, I just don't think LSU has anything to play for. You know what I mean? Kind of like Auburn last year. They didn't have anything to play for. Guys didn't really play hard. So I think UCF's gonna win because they're a fantastic football team. They're well coached and they're gonna outplay LSU. That's what they're gonna win.
Mm-hmm. All right. So here's my thoughts on LSU. I'll be the devil's advocate really quick.
Yeah.
Or LSU versus UCF. I mean, this is a great matchup for both teams. I really love the matchup for both teams. The LSU defense is going to struggle without Greedy Williams. He's skipping the Fiesta. Wait, no, this is the Fiesta Bowl, boys.
Yeah.
Not the Peach Bowl. I said, whatever. I thought, my bad. So he's skipping the bowl to prepare for the draft. I think they're going to struggle without him. Their defense is missing that big link. He's been producing all season long. UCF is missing Mackenzie Milton, the QB1. I am not going to let that sway my opinion on UCF because Dariel Mack Jr., while he isn't the same passer as Milton, at least from what I've watched, this still shouldn't hurt UCF's chances because, as Matt said, they're a well-rounded team. They got a lot of depth. I don't like talking about a team's motivation and how it's UCF against everyone, but I can't discount that because that is what has pushed them this far to the conversation of this. So, look, I think I'm almost excited. I'm very excited to be rooting for UCF because this win should boost them into the conversation of, all right, where do we put them with the other top teams in the league? How do we give them a harder schedule? When will they start accepting harder games? Because I know they denied Florida a 2-1 or something like that. I don't know. So I'm excited for this game. I have UCF 38, LSU 31. I think it'll be tight. And then for my Clemson Notre Dame pick, to make it short, Trevor Lawrence, bro, he has done it all season. He's going to drive the offense for Clemson. That he's the real threat for them. Clemson's secondary is an issue. I think that Ian Book, he's been a beast too. He's been great since taking over for Brandon Wimbush. That I think he will at times tear up Clemson's secondary, but it's still the same Clemson team that we've known and loved for years. It's so Lawrence, he's the muscle behind the offense. I think that Clemson's going to win. It's not going to be easy, but Clemson is going to win this matchup. I'll say 35-24. They'll pull it out in the end, the second half. I'm actually really excited for Clemson Notre Dame. Chris, what are your thoughts on what did you not make your pick on yet?
I didn't make the pick on the LSU UCF game. I think UCF will win a close one. I think they have like a nothing to lose mentality because everyone's against them. But they might win their second national championship in a row.
Well, listen.
In their eyes.
No, this isn't going to be that.
No.
I mean, my friend Joey made a good point yesterday where he was like, this game doesn't mean nearly as much, to really anybody. Last year, Auburn was a legitimate contender if they had made the playoffs to actually win the college football playoffs. They were that good of a football team. They beat Alabama. They were that good of a team. And UCF walked up and slaughtered them and outplayed them and beat them. This LSU isn't that team this year. And also, I don't think UCF is the same team they were last year either.
No.
But again, LSU isn't the same quality of team Auburn was last year. Auburn should have been in the college football playoff last year, and they got shafted. And I don't know, LSU just isn't the same quality.
So I got UCF in a close one, and then the other college football playoff matchup we got, it's a good one. We got the two Heisman Trophy candidates. Or one winner, Alabama with Tua, and Oklahoma with Kyler Murray. Who you got? Who you guys
the
got?
Saban dynasty falls. Like this happens this weekend. Kyler Murray and his Oklahoma team will run all over this Alabama defense. They don't have the speed on the outside to stop Kyler Murray. They haven't faced anybody like this kid in years. He is going to destroy this defense. Like nobody has seen that defense get destroyed. Tua is going to have a kind of a letdown of a game. He struggled in the last game he played. He's going to struggle again today. I don't believe he's fully healthy. Maybe Jalen Hurts is actually going to be put in the game. That's how bad Tua is going to play.
Well, he's already said that he's at 80 to 85%. He's not even 100% going into this game. So
yeah, exactly. I think things are kind of lining up, and I think Kyler Murray is going to be the guy that puts him over. Also, I don't know if Kyler Murray is going to play in the NFL, but I think if he really wants to go on with baseball, this is his shot to do. This is his shot to kind of like be a football legend.
Like cement his legacy.
Yeah, he can cement his football legacy in this playoffs right now, and then go to baseball, and he can make all the money. He can be healthy. There you go. Have a great life. But I think this is his time right now to submit his football legacy, and I think he'll do it.
Ooh, I'm so excited. I love this Oklahoma team, dude. I am a huge fan of this Oklahoma team just because of the way that Lincoln Riley has schematically formatted the offense around Kyler Murray. I think I'm most excited. Where's this game being played? Miami?
Yes, Miami. Hard Rock Stadium.
There's going to be so many Oklahoma fans there. I think it's going to be a border. Alabama fans do travel, but there are a lot of people. This is the first time in a while that they're like, this could be a loss for Bama. This could be, especially because Tua's hurt, he's not healthy 100%. The way that I see this game going, Oklahoma comes out firing on all cylinders on offense. Their defense, especially their secondary, has been a struggle all year. All year long, they've been an issue. They've been an issue against themselves, but I don't think Tua is going to exploit it early on. He's going to miss targets. He's going to try to get out of the pocket, and the front seven is going to come at him. This team is fired up to get to the national title game. I almost feel like it's for Kyler. Let's do this for Kyler. Let's get this win. Kyler's going to do it for Kyler. Lincoln Riley, he's got a lot to prove in this game too. I think I give it until the second or third quarter that Jalen Hurts comes in the game, but it's going to be too late. They'll be down by a couple scores, and once Oklahoma's offense gets rolling, it's hard to stop him. Like if you catch Kyler running on the outside, you're not going to stop. Like you can't stop the guy. He's so freaking good outside of the pocket. This is a pick more based on optimism and because I just want to see Alabama lose. If I'm looking at logistically, Tua or Jalen's going to tear apart Oklahoma secondary, but it'll be too late. It's going to be too late. I got like this game winning off of like a field goal. It'll be like 31-28 or something like that down to the last second. It's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a classic. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I absolutely think it's going to be a classic. We're going to remember for a long time. It's going to be a shootout. But my only concern with Oklahoma is their defense. Mm-hmm. They give up too many points to even mediocre teams. But I think Kyler Murray is going to have an amazing game. I think Tua is actually going to have a really good game. But unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong. But I think Bama's going to win. And I think they may even do like a ridiculous 2-point conversion at the end to just put them ahead with like less than 2 minutes to go or something like that.
Yeah.
Do something stupid that no one here is going to like.
I'm sure it
just happens. It happens every year.
Going Nick Saban.
It's so predictable.
Listen,
I hope Oklahoma wins.
Listen, man, I am always completely unbiased with my views and all my opinions here on the Lockdown Podcast. Alabama will lose this football game. Next.
I like the pick. I like it.
I love the belief.
Listen, we've got a couple minutes to spare. That was a great talk. I'm really happy that this episode, guys.
That last episode of 2018.
Last episode.
End it with a bang.
I want to end with one more topic, though, not football related. Let's end it on a high note.
Yeah.
LeBron hurt his groin on Christmas Day against the Warriors. Los Angeles still pulled out the win. What are your thoughts? LeBron, the test came back. He's going to miss a couple games, probably 5 to 6 games. Still early in the season. What are your thoughts? My opinions have been changed. I'll share them after you guys will share yours. But what are your thoughts on the Lakers as a whole now that LeBron's sitting out for a couple games?
I love it. I love this. I want to see these guys. You got all these young guys who don't really have a clear defined role yet in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And then you have somebody in Rajon Rondo who's a great leader. He helps establish roles for guys. A little different than LeBron. LeBron's like, you guys are spot-up shooters. Mm-hmm. There you go. With Rajon, it's a little different. He guys are going to play their game. And then Rajon will just kind of be the catalyst there that basically acts as like the Jason Kidd-like point guard. Yeah, I like this. I don't think they're going to win every game. I think they'll win I think they'll lose one or two. They play some easy teams. They also play a couple tough teams in this stretch.
I got their schedule up here.
Okay. Yeah.
In the next 5 games, they have 4 home games.
Nice.
Their only road game is at Sacramento, and they also host Sacramento. Yeah. And then they have the Clippers, the Thunder, and the Knicks.
Yeah. I mean, they may lose 2 of those, maybe 3.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine in the grand scheme of things. But I think it's good to give these guys a role. Yeah. Have Alonzo and Rajon play together, see if that works out. They haven't really been able to do that because LeBron's the ball handler. So when you have, you know what I mean? You have Lonzo, Rondo, and LeBron. It doesn't work at all. But see if Lonzo and Rondo can work together. That might be fun to watch. Try to see if Brandon Ingram, what he can do by himself without LeBron out there. I like it. Yeah. Kuzma. Yeah. Let's see what they can do. I'm excited.
Their center, I don't know his first name, but Zubac.
Yeah. He's a boss, dude.
He's good, man. And then they got JaVale McGee.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it'll be good for the young guys to play together and get some experience and get ready for when LeBron comes back, because LeBron needs those guys' help. Mm-hmm. Like when they get deeper in the season, into the playoffs, these guys need to produce for LeBron to make him happy.
So interesting stat that I read on Twitter recently. This is the fastest team, like literally the fastest team LeBron has ever been a part of in his career. Like that. If we're looking at the pace of play, his teams have averaged about 90.5. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what that actually means. But if we're looking at the overall, so 90.5, this team's at 105 pace. Again, I have no idea what that means.
I don't know what you're
But
talking
it's a
about.
huge jump. But it's a huge jump. It's saying that I guess their pace of play that they're playing at is the fastest of his career. And when I was watching them, I haven't watched a whole lot of full basketball games this year, minus Celtics games. But when I watched that Golden State Los Angeles game, I'm like, this team is moving. They're booking it up and down the field court. So I think I've been roasting Los Angeles all season, all preseason, saying they're not making. If they make the playoffs, they'll come in as a 6 seed, 7 seed. Listen, they're sitting at the 4th seed right now. They're number 4 in the West, I think.
I
This
believe
is
so.
this is going to be their time to prove their significance in the West. This is going to be their chance to say, LeBron is our guy. He's our boy. But we can survive with him off the court. For if we're looking at a healthy LeBron, he can go hit the bench for a little bit, and we'll be all right.
We're not
So-
Cavs version 2. This is where they have to prove it. And Luke Walton, man, he's got to start. I mean, like he's been doing a good job, but Magic Johnson doesn't like him as a coach. Magic Johnson didn't bring him in. That was before Magic was there. And there's been rumors all over the place about Luke Walton being fired this year or at the end of the year.
He's fine.
So this is where Luke Walton's been. He's got to be like this. He's got to prove himself now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Doesn't have LeBron. He's got to draw up plays. He's got to find someone that's going to hit big shots. He's got work to do. But.
Yeah.
The Lakers are number 4 to answer your question.
Okay, that's what I thought.
2.5 games back for number 1.
It's going to be exciting to watch as it goes down the rest of the season. Hey, and you're like, whoa, where else can I find the homies? We are on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Castbox, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Stitcher. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Peace out, boys.
Go, boys.